What is the best conversation you accidentally overheard? Was on the bus and a small girl and her father were sitting in front of me. The kid was misbehaving a bit and wouldn't sit still even though her father would tell her to settle down several times. Eventually he lets out an exasperated "Why won't you do what I tell you to?" And the little girl answers, matter of factly, "Mum always tells you to stop washing your balls in the sink but you still do it." Needless to say they got off that bus very quickly as every single person around them was desperately trying not to laugh. I was at a graduation party for my best friend when she graduated high school in 2007, and a boy she was hanging out with at the time was there. He had to use my friend's house phone to call his mom and the last thing he said to her before hanging up was, "I'm a grown-ass man. Mom, I'll skateboard home." We still use that to this day. On college campus, a black guy walks up to a black girl he clearly knows, who is wearing a hat and sunglasses. "Oh girl, where you going looking all incognito?" Two girls on the bus sitting in front of me start talking about a date that one of them had recently been on. One of them says, "And then he stuck his hand up my skirt," and her friend says, "The one with the stripes on it?" Girl 1, "Are you?" Name. Girl 2, "Yeah." Girl 1, "Hi, I'm your math tutor." Girl 2, "Oh, you're cute. I'd totally date you, but I'm not a lesbian." Girl 1, "Thanks, I'd date you too, but I'm straight, and I have a boyfriend." Not exactly a conversation, but there's a guy in the dorm below me. He doesn't know this but I can hear him through the vent in my floor. He has a young sibling, I think, and he sings to her over the phone at night. I fall asleep to it sometimes. Obligatory edit. Golden top comment of the day. Thanks, guys. Me and a friend were sitting outside McDonald's when we heard this. Was banging her hard and she was screaming like, "Yeah yeah yeah, duck my pussy," and she had like 15 orgasms and her tits were bouncing up and down. Straight after that I went and ducked her sister who was in the next room and she had like 20 orgasms and I hadn't even come yet because I can go for like an hour because my D is 20 inches so it's hard to get it in sometimes. And then after an hour I came 3 times and she was screaming so loud I thought her mum was going to hear and get jealous because I've ducked their mum too. Guy was about 12 and all his friends were hanging on every word in amazement like he was a total stud. I overheard two people's epic encounter a while ago. So a woman comes into the bakery and as soon as she steps in a man greets her. He proceeds to ask her about what's new and how she's been the last 20 years. The woman obviously knew the guy and they engage in a 10ish minute talk about their spouses, kids and jobs, basically everything new from the last 20 years. Then they decide to meet up next weekend and have a cup of coffee. The woman then asks him to say hi to his sister from her. And his response is, "I don't have a sister." At that point both their faces were priceless. She asks him, "Wait, your name is Pete, right?" He responds, "EHH. No, your name isn't Karen." I burst into laughter sitting a few meters away. They had been talking to a complete stranger about the last 20 years of their lives. They said bye to each other in an extremely awkward manner and went on their way. I was in a bar one night and while you probably wouldn't call this an accident, because she was screaming, a couple were breaking up. She was yelling at him because he didn't want to buy her another drink. Because lo and behold she was drunk and making an ass out of herself. To finish her tirade she screamed in a high-pitched annoying voice, and every time we ducked I ducking faked it. To which he looked at her deadpan and calmly asked, "What makes you think I was ducking you for your benefit?" Drop mic. Walk off to applause and laughter. My freshman roommate in college would talk on the phone 24/7 to anyone and everyone. His GF. The girl he was cheating on his GF with. And my personal favorite. Some random conversation that I was barely paying attention to when suddenly, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, your daughter broke up with me yesterday." To this day I kick myself for not paying attention from the beginning. In Costco and they had giant crab for sale. Little girl, "Dad, what do they eat?" Dad, "Little girl's called Megan." One gentleman telling another that he could pop a wheelie in this bad boy, referring to his wheelchair. I had to introduce myself because that is the type of person I need in my life. I was walking past a bar one night and a man was standing outside on the phone and I caught, "Look man, I need to tell you about the monkey. I was at the movies. Just wait until your dad hears about this. Mom, it's not that big of a deal. What you did was disgusting. It was a betrayal of my trust. It was a betrayal of everything I believe in, but most of all you betrayed yourself. Once you have the two together, you can never enjoy the one without the other. Mom. Drawn out into about 30 syllables. It's no skin off my nose. I've never done what you did. You are never going to go back to a time that you haven't done this. At this point I am dying to know what this kid did, and I'm trying to stay near enough in the crowd to hopefully find out when they are joined by the father. The mother points accusingly at the kid. He had a soda in the movie theater. Mom. It wasn't a soda. It was a lemonade. You've mixed sugar in the movies. Now you will constantly want a snack while you're watching a movie. You know I raised you never to eat in front of a screen. Edit. My favorite part of this conversation was the roller coaster of emotions I experienced. First the curiosity. I had to know what this kid had done. Then well, that's a little over the top. Then finally, when is the last time I saw a movie without a candy or soda? Why did my mother never tell me about this? Girl 1. Why do you eat my mayonnaise? You have your own. Girl 2. I like the combination. 1. So you ate half a jar of mine without asking? 2. Yes. I like the combination. 1. That still doesn't explain why you used mine. 2. I like the combination. Met my boyfriend's family, then walked into the other room. She's nice and all, but I really liked X's name better. Whatever happened to her? I was walking through a parking lot and a lady drove past. All I heard was, "No, I didn't leave a butt plug in your morning smoothie." Overheard more or less. At a past job I was accidentally sent an email from a woman at an office several states away that basically said, "More than I've thought long and hard about this, and I'm still apprehensive about it, but I'm ready to meet you at a hotel." It was followed with about 10 recall message attempts. Was at work and a couple of guys walked past the window. All I heard was, "Dude, you really should get her a birthday present. I mean, she did give you a really good blowjob." Fair enough. I overheard my 7-year-old cousin playing with a hair clip. He found people think I'm a meg, but I'm actually a venomous spider. I live in the ocean. Did you hear what happened to X? No. What? She got a yeast infection in her throat from sucking too much D. Two old men talking about the plot to my cousin Vinny. They were trying to remember the name of the movie but they couldn't do it. My wife and I ended up buying their dinner, and we made our own little game based on it called Ambiguous Movie Plot, where you try and stump the other person by giving just enough details about the movie so it pisses them off when they hear the title, but not enough so they can guess it. My wife and I were at a pretty fancy restaurant, where they have their wine list on iPads. We were in a celebratory mood and decided to splurge a bit and get some glasses of wine that were $15 a pop. Shortly after we got our wine, this old guy walks in with 2 young ladies. The sommelier comes up and asks if he had any questions about the wine list. The old dude says, "I trust you. Just bring out something that's reasonably priced." Sommelier looks back a bit baffled and says, "I'm sorry sir, but would you kindly let me know what reasonably priced would be?" Old dude puts the wine list down, calmly smiles and says anything under $5,000 a bottle will be just fine. Thanks. Ended up ordering 3 bottles over the course of our dinner. Crazy and entertaining all at once. I like my password. It's hello4. But don't tell anyone. Some little girl behind me talking to another kid. At Walmart. 2 guys maybe 18 years old looking at a box of Extends pills. They were beyond pumped. I heard one say we're gonna be so huge. On a bus in Germany, 2 teenage girls are talking together when a teenage boy come onto the bus. Throughout the ride he checks out her figure from behind, at which point the girl loudly proclaims, "Dude, stop staring at my ass you creep." To which he replies without missing a beat, "Sorry but your ass is far nicer than your face." Edit. Some of you seem to think he was rude and she was right. You got it wrong. She was pretentious and he wasn't going to let public ridicule ruin his day. In an old electronics class we were playing with spectrum analyzers and discovered that the old cell phones broadcast on open frequencies. If you found the spike on the spectrum and tuned into it, you could hear what they were saying. Happened to tune into a couple girls calling some guy so they could come over and smoke some doobies. By the time they were done, me and my lab partner had the entire class clustered around listening in. Think half of them were hoping to find out where they were going so they could crash the party. Somebody was talking on the phone on my way back to the car from the grocery store. No, I didn't ducking kill him. Why would you ducking think that? Needless to say, I probably broke a record for fastest car grocery loading ever. While eating at a fast food joint way out in West Texas during a family road trip, I took note of a small group of friends, 20s 30s men, with large tin boxes full of trading cards, probably Magic. They weren't sitting too far from us, and the place was quiet enough that we could overhear their discussions fairly well. At one point, though, one guy began relaying a story about a turtle that he had retrieved from the middle of a road. Given the locale, I'd assume it was some sort of desert tortoise. The man had apparently taken the turtle home and placed him in a specific spot in one room, then left briefly to do something elsewhere in the house. Upon returning to the turtle, he was caught very much off guard by the fact that the turtle had somehow meandered from his original spot to a new location surprisingly far from where he'd started. The distance he had wandered was evidently so great that the man was positively astounded by the athleticism of this turtle. The surprise he expressed when recounting this rescued turtle's accomplishment was adorable enough. But then he proudly declared what he had named the animal, Squirmin' German Herman, the magical teleporting turtle. Immediately, I erupted into a barely stifled fit of giggles. I found myself straining to keep quiet while I almost got a chicken nugget bolus into my windpipe. That would have made for a very, very awkward eulogy. I was in a shoe store and a little girl was playing on the floor with her mom. The mom kept asking her to stand up, but the little girl would continue rolling around the floor. Finally, she rolled under her mom's legs and looked up and said loudly, "Why don't you have on any panties?" And the mom dragged her out of the store quickly. All I heard as I was walking by the lunchroom was, "Mayonnaise is not a beverage, Sharon." I have a contribution from the other side, so to speak. There was a private zoo for sale here in New Zealand, in the Bombay Hills just south of Auckland, to be precise. The topic came up cause my partner at the time was working for Realestate.co NZ, the largest property portal in the country, and they had discussed the listing in the office earlier that day. We were discussing the zoo, its price, its features etc. while we were sitting at a reasonably noisy restaurant. Our waitress snuck up on us to grab some empties just as I asked my partner, "Can you check if the 1.2 million includes the elephants?" I am sure I've never seemed more interesting and wealthy at any other point in my life. Poor, misled waitress was staring at me when I went forward to pay later. I was in line to order fried chicken and this was the conversation between the woman ordering and the one behind the counter. "What the hell yo fat ass want? Itch? Get me a walker and a flyer. You sure yo fat ass needs to be eating all that? Duck you itch. I eat what I want." I was at a ramen restaurant near my school when I overheard the clerks chatting. Clerk 1, "Hey man, your sister is pretty hot." Clerk 2, "Duck your mom." My high school had a lot of stoners. One day in class I overheard the following. Dude 1, "Hey, so man, you got my stuff in your car?" Dude 2, "Yeah, man, I got it. You got the money?" Dude 1, "Well, I do, but it's all in quarters." Dude 2, "Quarters? What the hell am I supposed to do with $100 worth of quarters?" Dude 1, "Hey man, you just said I needed to bring you $100. You didn't say it had to be in bills." Dude 2, "What? Where the hell did you even get $100 worth of quarters?" Dude 1, "Hey, look, do you want it or not?" Dude 2, "What the duck ever man? Meet me in the XXX parking lot after 4th period." For your information, I don't remember the actual amount, but it was somewhere in the $50 to $150 range. Just happened yesterday. I was sitting at a restaurant for lunch and at the table right next to me were 2 bomb defusal guys from the police, shirts that said it, police jackets, radio on the table. Quite official. I'm German and work in a rather small town, so such a thing is quite rare. One of them told the other, they seemed to be new colleagues, that one of his former colleagues had a bomb once with 4 buttons in each corner of the room and the bomb itself with some weight trigger. A team consists of 2 bomb specialists, so one of them ran in circles pressing the 4 buttons in the corners and the other was sitting on the weight trigger and trying to defuse the bomb itself. I'm not sure if it was just training or if this was a real bomb. Otherwise, duck. That sounds more like an action movie than a real life bomb. 2 women walking back from the pub. Yeah, if you bend it upwards you can piss like a bloke. Outstanding. I was walking home from a party after my first day of uni. Overheard girls in their flat talking about anal fingering and how good it was. A tall overweight African American woman at Walmart with her 10-12-year-old son. No, I will not buy Call of Duty. I will not allow those immoral games in my house. And besides, I just bought you the new Saints Row last week. You don't need a new game yet. I was ducking dying. 2 guys making sandwiches at my local deli were arguing over what the best movie ever was. One man was arguing that Kindergarten Cop was the best movie ever created, and the other was just arguing that it wasn't. The one arguing that it wasn't gave a couple valid arguments that seemed easily deflected by the other man. It eventually devolved into them shouting "It's not a tumor" at each other. 3 girls in one toilet cubicle in a pub. Girl 1, I'm sick of the meaningless 6. I just want to be cuddled, you know. Girl 2, oh yeah. Girl 3, then stop putting out on the first date. Helen. Oh man, I smell today. You know you get those days where you jump in the shower but just forget to wash? No, I don't. What the hell? I was showing a network admin how insecure VoIP can be by showing him how to hack his network with a free program. We found a call and started listening in. The VoIP call we ended up cracking into was the VP and other heads of the company talking about a birthday party that they were throwing the network admin. They went on to say what a nice guy that the network admin was and how much smoother things ran under his care. The guy was nearly moved to tears. Late night and the mission. SF. Drunk group walking below my window. Guy burping. Haha. I can burp the alphabet. Some chick. I can queef a lullaby. Happened in secondary school. If you were a triangle I'd measure your surface area. When I'm on the toilet, I can hear the girl above my dorm room. Most of the time it's just her singing along with music. She also likes to have music on while having sex apparently. A great moment overheard while on honeymoon. American couple walking just behind us on Dubrovnik city walls. The man begins, "It's crazy how they've managed to avoid Starbucks or McDonald's setting up here. That would be like opening a strip club in a national park." The lady replies with righteous indignation. With absolute sincerity her partner responds, "But what if it were a really nice strip club?" I was at the bathroom in my university, washing my hands and overheard a dude talking softly in one of the stalls. Stalls are completely closed with a wall in between them. When he stopped speaking, I heard the guy next to him talk in a similar way. This went on for a few more seconds, until I heard one of them say, "In a minute, I'm in the bathroom right now," followed by the other dude, "Haha yeah, me too." First dude, slightly louder already, "Wait, are you next to me then?" Second dude, soft, possibly, louder, "Hey Mark." First dude, loud, "Hey man." They both started hitting the wall to make a noise and started laughing. To which I responded with, "You guys are so cute." And then I left so they wouldn't know who I am. Been lurking forever. Never felt more inclined to chime in than now. I was riding the ferry from Anascorts to Lopez Island with my friend visiting her family, and decided to walk out to the bow for some fresh air. Proceeded to overhear 2 men conversing out there. One was telling the other about his healing powers and how his hands would light up like ET. Apparently he was traveling out to the island to recharge his aura via some crystals. Yay, the San Juans are weird. Little girl next to me at the zoo looking at the pandas. "Mom, when I grow up I want to be bamboo." I was overheard a conversation from a row in front of me that went as follows. "Hey, is this seat taken? Only if you can do me one favor. Can you put cream cheese on my bagel for me?" Person 1 then proceeded to cream cheese person 2's bagel in front of my awestruck face. Edit, the seat was available on the cream condition I mean. Also additional info. This was right before a Neil deGrasse Tyson seminar speech thing. Was chillin' in my first floor apartment in Chicago. Windows down. Hear a girl softly sobbing while a man, ostensibly her boyfriend, shouts at her, "You're a ducking dentist." Ashley. Okay, a ducking dentist. Can't quite put my finger on why, but I'll always love that one. Was walking in the grocery store today, and in come two, large women. Both were on those powered card deals, rascals. The elder woman, mom, definitely needed it, though the younger of the two, daughter, clearly had little to no need for it as she wasn't that big, and kept getting up from it and walking around grabbing stuff running at one point. So I end up behind them and I overhear, "Mother, what else do we need? Eggs, milk." Daughter, "Pie. I vote we get pie. P-E-E. Not a pie. Not a slice of pie. Not a specific pie. Just please." At this point the young guy they are with, boyfriend, brother, turns around, looks right at me, then at her, and says, "I'm not buying your fat ass a goddamn pie when you won't even use your ducking legs in the grocery store." I involuntarily gave him one of these, and promptly stuck my face in the nearest freezer door and chortled as quietly as I could manage. Made my day. I once heard an old man talking to someone about how he had a harem and was going to have sex with the girls. Also, he said that he wouldn't have to worry about getting them pregnant, because he would just make them take the morning after pill. I feel I should mention, the person he was talking to was himself. While on a dinner boat ride in Memphis, Tennessee, I was lucky enough to be a few feet away from a man who was discussing his bus service business when Hurricane Katrina hit the southern states. When the flooding hit and people needed to be evacuated, the government seized his buses to assist in the rescue. He mentioned that he gave everyone a brief demonstration to the military drivers on how to operate the bus before getting in his own bus and following the convoy, which was destined for Louisiana. For about a week or two he was down there assisting with transporting civilians out of the flood zone area and bringing in helpers and supplies to the area's medical facilities. Then Red Cross and or more military support came in and he wasn't needed. He drove his bus all the way back to Tennessee straight home and hugged his family. It was one of the most emotional and mesmerizing stories I've ever heard of someone just dropping everything in a time of an emergency to assist others. The whole time I'm just staring off port of the ship, just watching the river for 20 minutes while listening to him tell his tale. Overheard my co-workers talking about their preferred method of contraception. Funny enough, the one that said pull out was pregnant like a month later. There was a little girl and her mum on the train. They were watching some video about fairies on the mum's phone. The girl turned to her mum and said matter-of-factly, "Mummy, you are my best friend. And I am your best friend." Yes, the mum agreed. Of course. The little girl then nodded and said, "Okay, I love you, Mummy." She promptly fell asleep on her mum's shoulder. I got off the train almost crying because that's ducking adorable. It was just the one line. But it was a mother talking to her child in a Waitrose. "No, Quentin. Put those quiches down. We only get them when guests are coming." I once walked by a group of girls in the mall and overheard one girl say, "And that's why I don't roller skate and read anymore." Hostel in Amsterdam. Two stoners staying in the one bunk. Guy and girl. They duck all day in front of people. Middle of the night. "Ursula, we need to go to the flower market," he says. In a defeated panic. "The flower market is closed," she replies. "But what about the cheese?" he says in a voice that sounds like he's about to burst into tears. Edit. Spelling. I'm sitting in my drinking spot at the bar and two rednecks are at the counter. I'm talking old, trucker hat wearing, flannel skinned men who have seen more time in truck cabs than in the sunlight. They're both sitting with their butt visors and talking heatedly. I usually overlook this sort of thing until one goes, "Main. No. Why gotta slot them flawless gems in your gear or t'other stats ain't gotta optimize right? Why build for your play and then why get online? Where are your skills right now?" I guess Diablo 3 has a wide audience.